You're listening to the Planet 76 podcast, a podcast about 76ers basketball, and we're clear for takeoff. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Planet 76 podcast. I'm Michael from Trust to Love, and I'm here with Troy, your two hosts for this podcast. And like we mentioned in our previous intro episode, this is a new podcast for 76ers News. We're going to be trying to roll with weekly episodes. This will be our real first episode, and we're going to be outlining some Sixers playoff preview. As you know, I'm sure all of you know, the Sixers open up their playoff series with the Washington Wizards tomorrow at 1 p.m. We're going to get into some Sixers news very shortly here, but make sure you subscribe to the podcast, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever the case may be. I know there's a ton of platforms out there for podcasting, but make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with our episodes and our podcast, and make sure you guys go follow us on Instagram, just Planet 76 Podcast, to keep up with that as well. We're going to be posting some clips and some various things from the podcast there too, so make sure you check that out. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Troy, let's hear it. Let's hear some Sixers news. Let's hear it.
That's right. So our cornerstone pieces, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, officially getting some recognition for their achievements this year. So Joel is an MVP finalist along with Nikola Jokic and Steph Curry. Ben Simmons, a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year award, along with Rudy Gobert, who's a finalist probably every year, and Draymond Green, who's, of course, up there every year. So pretty cool to see Ben getting that recognition. Again, well-deserved. I mean, we know from watching the Sixers, and you know if you're a fan of the Sixers from watching it all year, that this was expected. And so really, really cool just to see them get that and for them to be deserving of that. So, Michael, as you touched on, Sixers are starting up their playoff run in just over 24 hours. I'm excited. I know you're excited. I hope you guys listening are excited.
So excited.
So Sunday the 23rd at 1 o'clock from the Wells Fargo Center. I think capacity is at 50%. Is that right?
I think so. I think a lot of NBA teams are also changing their capacity limits as well, especially with the playoffs approaching. I know the Bucks and the Hawks did it, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the Warriors game. I caught the end of it last night, and it looked packed. It was weird. That was the most fans I've seen in a game that I was watching. But that was pretty neat to see. Good to see the fans back. So Sixers tipping off tomorrow.
It's so weird going back to normal life.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so we're just going to preview the series in this episode. This is the round one preview episode, officially episode 1 of the pod. And so we're going to give our thoughts on the Sixers rotation. We're going to talk about the previous matchups that the Wizards and Sixers have had. We're going to give some notes on the Wizards just so people are aware of who they have, what they have, and what their year has been like. And then give our keys to the series and a prediction of the series as well. So we're going to jump right in. But first, this seems to be a trendy upset pick, if you will, around the league, around people on social media. Michael, you buying into that in any way, shape, or form?
Honestly, no. I feel like a lot of people are picking the Wizards to win just to, like you said, hop on the trend, hop on the wave. I don't see it. I could maybe see the series going to 5 games. If it goes to 6, I'll be kind of upset because I think the Sixers are better than that. They're better than a 6-game series with the Wizards. No offense to the Wizards. They're a great team. They made the playoffs. They got hot late. But the Sixers, they're the 1 seed for a reason. They've been consistent all season. They're a great team, as we know. I don't see it. I don't see the trendy, hop on the wave. Let's pick the Wizards to upset the Sixers. I don't see it.
Yeah, I know you don't see it. I know we touched on that in the opening kind of intro episode a little bit. You were like, I want the Wizards. And I was like, no, I don't want the Wizards. Not that I think it's going to happen or it's going to be the upset that people are thinking it is going to be, but when you got a backcourt like that, it's a little scary, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, so, that's true.
Hey, we'll see what happens. We're going to break that down, but let's talk about the rotation for the Sixers and the playoff rotation. It's looked different at times this year, but I mean, I got a feeling we're going to get a little taste of what Doc is thinking of. Long term, he's been noted as saying it could go 10 or 11 deep throughout the playoffs. So we know the starters. We know Ben, Seth, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. that record has the best winning percentage even of any starting five all year. And then we've got the bench. So what do we know? What do we think we know? What's your take on what it could look like for this round one playoff series?
So, like you mentioned, Doc Rivers a couple weeks ago, I guess now, mentioned that he is willing to go, 10 or 11 deep in the playoffs. And ordinarily, you don't see teams run that deep of a lineup in the playoffs. Usually it's an 8 or 9-man rotation. But listen, this year we have some really nice depth, as we all know. Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, and then we got George Hill, and we have Dwight Howard as well. I could see a lineup of that possibly in the playoffs, as well as our starters. And I could even see Furkan getting some minutes as well. I think this year we have a great advantage of having too much off the bench at times. I will say at times because they are inconsistent at times. We all know that.
Yeah.
But I think this year we have the advantage of having too much talent off the bench.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing, and I think Doc will use that to his advantage. Like I said, I could see a 9-man rotation. I could see a 10. I could see 11 as well at times. I'm just hoping that our bench is consistent. Really, whoever plays, I'm hoping they're consistent because that's what we need. Our bench is good. It's not always consistent.
Sure. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think that Doc even coming out a couple weeks ago, like you said, of saying, okay, we could run 10 or 11. That's not normal, like you mentioned, but it's a testament to his faith, I guess, in this second unit and who can he plug and play into certain areas and different different circumstances and situations. So, I mean, who are the givens off the bench that we're barring any injury are gonna play? It's got to be Shake, Dwight.
I mean,
Matisse and George
I would
Hill.
say Shake, Dwight.
Matisse is playing.
Yeah.
George Hill's playing. We brought him here to play.
I feel like at this point, Matisse is absolutely a lock for a playoff spot.
Yeah. So the odd man out.
At this point, with how well he's been, yeah.
Who could be on the outside looking in for most of the playoffs? Or who do you want to be on the outside looking in?
Who I want to be on the outside? This is nothing against this player.
I know who you're gonna say.
A lot of people are really yeah. I'm gonna get a lot of people tend to overrate this player a little bit, just a little bit. Not saying he's a bad player. He's fantastic, especially for the circumstance that he's in right now. For him being, I'm gonna spoil it, a rookie, Tyrese Maxey. But I could see him maybe not getting playoff minutes only because he's a rookie. This isn't a slight against him at all. I've said it in the past. On my Instagram, I've said it as well. This isn't a slight against Tyrese Maxey. It's just that I don't know if he's ready for the playoffs. And obviously, he's a great player. Again, great player. He's a great spark off the bench at times. But I don't know. Is Doc gonna play him? He said he might. Some people are speculating that he might. I don't know. I could also see Furkan getting minutes, like I mentioned earlier. I feel like those two guys for the most part are going to be the ones fighting for some minutes. And like we both talked about a couple minutes ago, I feel like those first four are a lock.
Yeah. Maxey's an interesting guy. It seems like his best games this year have come just when we needed him to play, literally, because minutes, way back, his best game when we had a 7-man rotation against the Nuggets. He dropped, 30, 38, 39.
Oh, the Nuggets game. That was crazy.
He kind of kept us in at least for 2-3 quarters.
That's what put Tyrese Maxey on the map. That's when everybody was like, oh, my God, Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, so I think that I love Maxey. I think he's less of a rotation guy, more of a situational guy, if that makes sense.
No, I agree, yeah.
If we're down 10, 12, no one's doing anything offensively, no one's moving, Shake's 0 for 6. Like, put Maxey in, let him go, get a couple floaters, get a couple lays, and see what he can do with that offense. Another interesting guy that I know you want to talk about is Mike Scott, the Hive. How many minutes do you want him to get in this playoff? 0 or?
I mean, if it was up to me, and I'm sure a lot of Sixers fans can attest to this as well, if it was up to me, Mike Scott would get 0 minutes in the playoffs. No disrespect at all. He just doesn't provide any value to this team in any way. I mean it with the most respect. I'm sure he's a great guy. He seems like he's a nice dude, but he doesn't
Like
he doesn't give any value to this team. I just don't see the need for it.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. And I would like to disagree, but it's hard to. It's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
funny.
yes, most people be like, yeah, that's kind of harsh, but it's true because, like you said, you're finding it hard to disagree with me.
So the Mike Scott, we hope that he plays if we're up 20 or down 20. We hope that those are the situations
fair.
when he finds himself in the game. I think that's fair.
Yes.
But again, I think this rotation is
Yeah.
going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see what it's going to look like tomorrow, whether he goes 9-10, whether we see Maxey or not. I think that's going to be key. And we'll see if he thinks, if he agrees with us, if you think Maxey's a situational guy or a rotation guy. So the Sixers have played 3 times against the Washington Wizards. You remember that game way back on opening night?
When Bradley Beal went off, or was that a
That was
different
the
game?
second
I think that was a
game,
different game,
yeah.
actually. Oh, wait, no, the opening night game. Yeah, I do remember
Yep.
that.
A couple days before Christmas, opening night, Sixers win 113-107. Embiid had 29 and 14. It was a pretty good game. Obviously a 6-point game, but fourth quarter was close. Sixers kind of pulled away, if I recall, at the end. Then the game you're talking about, Sixers Wizards, January 6th, still way back early season. 141-136 for the Sixers. Embiid had 38 in that one, but he was outshined by Bradley Beal, who dropped a 60-burger in that game. You remember that one?
That was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. That's the game I was talking about a couple minutes ago, and I mixed the two up.
Yeah.
But that game was crazy. That was wild.
60, and the Sixers still won. And then a couple months ago in March.
Defense.
Yeah. A couple months ago in March, Sixers 127. This was the only blowout in the 3-game series. Sixers winning 3-0. Sixers 127, Wizards 101. Ben Simmons did not play in that one. That was the only time that the Sixers were missing someone from their starting lineup in the 3 matchups. Shake and Korkmaz both had 18 off the bench, kind of carrying. I think Embiid only had low 20s. Tobias had under 20. But a couple other things to note with that is that Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook played in all 3 of these matchups, which is important. You know, we've seen them at their best. Embiid averaged 30 across these 3 matchups. Bradley Beal 37, but he lost all 3 games. So what's your take on, like, the Sixers can allow Bradley Beal to average 45 and win this series in 5 games? Like, what do you think? Is there a number for Bradley Beal that we can give him?
Honestly, the way I see it is if Bradley Beal's giving you 40 a night and you just nobody else is scoring, at that point you just let Bradley Beal do what he's going to do, because in any situation where there's a really good scorer or a great scorer, most of the time they're going to get their points. They're going to get their 30, 35, 40. Yeah. So you just have to worry about everyone else. At times, there are exceptions, but you just have to worry about everyone else not getting high. We don't want Davis Bertans making 5 threes in the first quarter. We don't want, Russell Westbrook just steamrolling through the paint and dropping like 25 in the first half. Yeah. Things like that, little things like that. Bradley Beal's going to get his. It's just everyone else is going to have to. We're going to have to put a stop to everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I don't know what the number is, but again, scorer like Bradley Beal, you're going to give him points, especially in the playoffs, especially when he knows he's that guy.
Exactly.
So again, it does matter, the supporting cast, and that's actually.
And he hasn't been to the playoffs in a while, so he's ready.
Yeah, that's actually encouraging to me, though, that Bradley Beal averaged 37 against us and lost all 3 times. It's really cool that he didn't, win when he dropped 60 points. So that's encouraging.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. Even though we gave up 37, but we won all 3, and he played well. Again, across that series, or across those 3 games, in 12 quarters, just to kind of show you how bad the Wizards' defense is, the Sixers had dropped 40-plus twice across those 12 quarters, once in Game 1, once in game 2, so 2 quarters of 40
Mhm.
plus. And the only game, I looked this up the other day, the only game they did not have a 40-point quarter, they had 4 30-point quarters. So game 3 back in
Wow.
March, they had 32, 31, 31, 33, very consistent 4 quarters, and that was the blowout win.
Mhm.
If you're going to score 30 points every quarter, you're going to win a lot of basketball games in the NBA.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure what the above average points per game is for the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
but 120 is a pretty solid number. I'd have to think that's above average. So if you're scoring that, if you're the Sixers and you're scoring that every night or most nights, you're gonna, like you said, you're gonna win most games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would put him in first. I think the league lead is like around 118 or so.
Mhm.
But just kind of funny. I mean,
Yeah.
they had monster performances offensively. The least amount of points they scored against the Wizards was 113. So look for the Sixers to get a lot of production on offense.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have too many trouble scoring. We touched on that a little bit with who the heck is going to guard Joel Embiid. But why don't you walk us through, just for everybody to know, what do we want to know about the Wizards? Sorry. What do we need to know about them?
Well, I mean, for starters, I think I mentioned it. I may have mentioned it earlier in this episode, but they've gotten hot since the All-Star break, since April. Well, the All-Star break was in March, but you know what I mean. End of March, early April, they've gotten hot. They've been 18-7 since then. They were 500 team before that.
Yeah.
They were
15
under 500
games.
actually, and they stormed all the way back to get into the play-in and then get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you gotta admire that from the Wizards, especially with Russell Westbrook and obviously Bradley Beal as well. That's a really nice backcourt, arguably top 5 backcourt, but we won't get into that. Obviously, you got the backcourt of Russ Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I can't talk for a second. And they're starting lineup: Rui Hachimura, Alex Len, Raul Neto, former Sixer. I'm hoping Embiid drops 50 on him real quick. I do like Rui Hachimura, so I could. I'm enjoying watching. I'm honestly enjoying watching the Wizards. Honestly,
Yeah.
And they have a solid bench: Ish Smith, Davis Bertans, Daniel Gafford, Robin Lopez. I don't know. I think Daniel Gafford may start at times, because he's been playing really well recently, and people are like, "Oh my God, the Embiid stopper's here, Daniel Gafford." But it's like, are you serious?
Yeah, he
Are you
has been
kidding
playing
me?
well. I think he battled injury this
Do
year.
you really think he's gonna stop Embiid?
Yeah, he was injured for a little bit. He's back and playing probably the best. I actually saw a note on that when I was looking up the Wizards. They said that he's playing the best out of their centers. They're not sure why he hasn't gotten the nod. Maybe he will tomorrow to lead the team in minutes.
Yeah,
Again,
maybe he will. Maybe he'll be the Embiid stopper. Maybe
he'll hold Embiid to 35.
maybe Embiid will drop 30 instead of 40. Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how funny is it that they got guys like Raul Neto and Ish Smith? Raul Neto and Ish Smith, both former Sixers, and Raul Neto is a starter on a playoff team. Like, what?
That's crazy. Those two have been on almost every team in the league combined, I think. Ish Smith has been everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised he's still putting up some nice production.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But the Wizards are third in the NBA in points per game, with 116, a little over 116. For reference, Sixers put up 113.6 a game, which is good for 14th. It's only a couple points spreading from top of the league to middle of the pack. The Wizards, and why you're like, okay, they're third in the league in scoring. Why do they suck? Or why are they below 500? They're last in
Defense.
the NBA in points per game given up at 118.5. Every time out on the floor,
Their defense
they
is
almost give up
atrocious.
120. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Can't win like that.
No. So obviously it's improved a little bit during this last 25 game stretch they've been on, 18-7. Again, that goes to why people are saying this is a potential upset pick. However, they haven't. I looked at 25 games. They're 18-7. Who they played? Not that overly impressed. I'm actually going to look at it right now. Just not that impressed with who they've beaten. They beat a couple good teams in the mix, but along with the good teams that they've beaten, you got teams like the Raptors, teams like the Cavaliers, teams like the Cavaliers again, Detroit, Sacramento, Orlando.
So not great teams.
Yeah, the best team. They beat the Lakers, obviously shorthanded Lakers way back end of April. They lost to the Bucks, beat the Warriors twice in that span, so Warriors were fighting for a playoff spot too. Lost to the Hawks twice. So I don't know off the top of my head how many of these teams are playoff teams, but not a ton. Oklahoma City Thunder they beat. Like, they were beating up on some bad teams,
many.
but hey, playoff teams are supposed to beat bad teams. So, and they were able to get that job done. But 18-7 in the last 25. Props to them. Props for getting into the playoffs. So, let's give some keys to the series. Let's talk about what we think is going to be important. You got anything for the people to watch for? What's going to be important to a Sixers keys? Maybe even some keys for the Wizards to see if they can steal a couple games.
Right. So we have the Wizards. Obviously, we've been talking about it this whole episode, but we have Russ and Bradley Beal. Again, arguably a top 5 backcourt in the league. We won't get into that right now. I'm a Russ Westbrook fan, so that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you gotta watch out for those guys. Both can score at a pretty high clip. Obviously, more Beal than Westbrook, but both can score very well. Who's Ben Simmons' guard? Who do we think Ben Simmons is primarily going to guard? I would say probably Beal, but again, there will be times where he gets switched off of Beal, or he's out of the game and Beal is on a hot streak, or just any situational defense that occurs. I have to say Beal. Obviously, he will probably guard Russ a little bit too.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll start on Beal.
I would have to say Beal.
Obviously, another person that's going to see Bradley Beal a lot is going to be Matisse. Matisse has had limited time against him. I think he held him to sub 500 shooting in the 3 matchups, but I think if Ben and Matisse are both in the game while Bradley Beal is, Matisse might get some of that action. It just depends on the situation, but you got to think.
Yeah, Matisse is great guarding guards.
Yeah, I think that'll help Ben too, just to take some pressure off of him when Matisse is in. For sure. Maybe you put Ben on a Rui Hachimura. You said that he's good, and he is. Ben might be the best matchup for Rui. So it'll be fun to watch. The Ben and Matisse matchups against Bradley Beal.
Definitely.
Danny Green against Russell Westbrook. We'll see. But then you've got Embiid. Let's talk about Embiid and what he's done to centers this year. Phenomenal. And now you got guys like Alex Len, Robin Lopez, and Daniel Gafford. What if you're the coach of the Wizards, what do you say to those guys?
If I'm Scott Brooks and I have to throw Alex Len or Robin Lopez at Joel Embiid, I may as well just let Embiid score. Because, again, I mean it in the most respectful way. But Robin Lopez and Alex Len
are trash.
It's just not happening. Embiid is going to steamroll these players. And I mean it with the utmost respect. But Embiid is going to steamroll these players. If I'm Scott Brooks, I might want to triple team Embiid. But hey, even if you triple team him, he's going to pass out of it because he's become a much better passer this year. So I would say good luck to you, Scott Brooks, because I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what you're going to do, man.
You said steamroll and respectfully in the same sentence. I love it. That's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you say to those guys. I don't know what you do. Again, he'll see different looks. He'll see different doubles. He'll see triples. He'll see a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
but what you said, Embiid's passing this year, and I think Doc and Daryl Morey have set him up to have success, passing this year simply because he's not passing to Al Horford.
Yeah, he has options this year to pass out to.
He's not passing to Josh Richardson, who's going to dribble 5 times and then take a mid-range.
Yeah,
he's passing to guys who are going to get a shot out. Yeah, you got Steph Curry, you got Seth Curry. I wish it was Steph Curry. You got Seth Curry, and you got Danny Green, who's I think the best shooter from the corner this year. It's phenomenal. It's
Sniper.
phenomenal, and that is a huge key as to why the Sixers have the 1 seed this year, is because of the supporting cast around Embiid and the fit, which you and I have talked about a little bit before. But the fit between Embiid, Ben Simmons, and the guys around them, the pieces around them. Shout out to Tobias Harris. We haven't talked about him much this episode, but he's had a tremendous season. All right, so we're going to continue with some keys of the series, and we're going to do a segment here to end the episode called Hot Takes, or no, not Hot Takes, Rapid Fire with Trust the Love. So I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to tell me what you think very quickly on the series. So first one, who is going to average more points during the series, Bradley Beal or Joel Embiid?
I'm gonna go Bradley Beal.
All right. Will Matisse Thybulle have more steals or total field goals made in the series?
Steals.
Okay. All right. Westbrook averages over or under 11 assists per game?
I'm going to say under.
Under. Okay. I like that. How many games does Mike Scott play in this series?
Hopefully one.
Hopefully one. Hopefully it's a blowout too. All right. And last but not least, how many games will this series last?
5.
What's the prediction?
5. That's it. 5. I want to say 4, but that's
5. You heard it here,
I feel
folks.
like that's too much. I'm going to say 5. Sixers in 5. Let's go.
Sixers in 5.
Let's go.
That's rapid fire with Trust the Love. Hey,
yes.
we're kicking off round 1, 76ers and Wizards tomorrow, 1 o'clock, or wherever you're listening to this. Hopefully Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting a preview in on a Sunday morning, maybe it's game day for you and you're listening. We're ready to roll. Sixers, Wizards tomorrow, first round action. Let's go. This is the episode 1 of Planet 76 podcast. We will see you next time. You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.